Well, hello, everybody. It is incredibly wonderful to have you here again today as we're starting to take a look and diving even deeper into this world of AI, generative AI, how to use generative AI within our organizations, and also how to leverage this kind of technology and the fast pace of the technology that's happening for our businesses, especially from an HR perspective. One of the things that I've been incredibly excited about, for those of you that have been on this journey with me in these sessions, is the intersection of humanity and humans along with technology. There's just such an incredibly important bridge that takes place in that aspect. And so that's what we're here together to explore. These HR trendsetter conversations are very much about what is happening in the world of technology, in particular in the world of AI, generative AI. Many of you know about AI from the perspective of tools like ChatGPT and Ionics and Cloud AI, for example. I mean, a number of these tools that are built on deep learning technologies and have access to a plethora of information that are actually designed to help us accelerate how work is accomplished and how we can actually get work done faster, kind of move from blank sheet of paper to content, how we can accelerate our marketing conversations, how we can be more targeted in our communications, and how we can ensure that we are able to get the most out of all of the work that we do. Let's face it, just about every single role in business is being impacted by this revolution of technology that's taking place. And in my opinion, from my perspective, every single role is being impacted in a positive way. I firmly believe that the introduction of technologies that come into the work environment, for that matter, the introduction of technologies that impact so many different aspects of living, those technologies ultimately are designed for good. And these are tools that, when properly leveraged, really can help us be even more effective and help us move forward in terms of how we operate as teams, for example. So I'm really excited to be here today. I am thrilled to welcome everyone into this conversation as well. My name is Dianna Willis. I am the champion of HRTrendsetter.com. I'm excited that you're here today as well. And we have people coming in from around the world, people who are passionate about what's happening in the world of technology, what's happening in the world of AI, and how can we leverage these technologies to help our organizations and our teams be even more effective together. It's so great to see everybody here. So today, we're going to be talking a little bit about the importance of sustainable robotics and AI in the modern workplace. So sustainability is a really important concept from a business perspective, right? It's really about how do we build organizations that will sustain or live over time and have momentum as an organization. When we really look at it from a pure business perspective, organizations are groups of people who have come together around a shared mission, a shared vision. There's something there that they're out to create together, and done exceptionally well. Those teams actually have a culture, they have a momentum of their own, and businesses develop those same types of momentum. That's what we mean by sustainability. So how do we leverage robotics and AI into our modern workplaces so that we can really sustain what we're in business to do? And that's what we want to explore a little bit here in terms of what is happening on this particular landscape and some of the things that are forecasted to happen. And then, of course, in our dialogue and in our chat, of course, sharing things that you're also experiencing in your organization and observations that you have. As well as, if you're working with other teams, if you have the ability to look across multiple organizations, or maybe just friends and colleagues, what are some of the things that you're hearing? What is happening in the way that organizations are starting to tap into these technologies? So a few things that we're going to really cover off on have to do with this convergence of the topic of sustainability, which is an ongoing discussion in the business world, robotics and AI. And so that conversion, again, we really think about it in terms of that conversion of humanity and technology. It's the conversion of business and technology, and how that is actually reshaping the entire fabric of our workplaces. So when we think about that, just reflecting for yourself in your work environment, how has technology influenced the way that you do work today? Whether it's been over simply the last year with the introduction and the explosion of the use of generative AI tools, all the way back to 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Just reflect for a moment on how the introduction of technology over the course of that time has really shaped and reshaped the fabric of your work and of your workplace. So from that perspective, again, here we are, a simple example. We're all joined together from around the world, thanks to the availability of technology. Just that simple fact gets me incredibly excited about what's possible and how we are all able to come together in a really powerful platform and a really powerful conversation. Thank you to the technology. Another element for us to consider is that when we introduce technology into an organization and into a workplace, it's not just about tech efficiency, but it's also about creating an environment that's sustainable in all senses. So philosophically and fundamentally, I believe that technology is here to help support us in our organizations, to help support us move faster toward our mission. So I believe in technology as being, in my words, a supporting character in the theater of our work environment and our workplace. I'd love to see in the chat to just share a little bit about what is your philosophy of technology. And all responses are good, because we do want to have all perspective. As we explore technology, we continue to explore some of the pros and cons of it, and we continue to have this kind of discussion, if you will, around the purpose and the power of technology and how do we leverage it. Now, the other piece from a sustainability perspective is that we want to ask ourselves the question, how can businesses harmonize advanced technology with sustainable goals or sustainability goals? So when we dig into the world of sustainability again, elements that come into play there have to do with how do we move an organization forward? How do we ensure that the technology or the products, the things that we are bringing out to our customers, to our clients, how do we ensure that those help to contribute to a sustainable environment as well? Both from a work environment, a humanity environment, and also from a world environment. So now when we bring technology, advanced technologies into our organizations and into the way that work is done, similar questions need to be asked. How do we harmonize those technologies with the work that we're doing? How do we harmonize those technologies with our business's sustainability goals? So these are really big questions. And these are the types of questions that sometimes organizations are challenged by. So let's dig in a little bit to what are some of those challenges that businesses might face when it comes to integrating sustainable robotics and AI into their organization. And another angle to look at this is, how do we ensure that robotics and AI for our business, for our teams, for our work environment actually become something that survives, rather than the historic, if I use the term flash in the pan, or the term it's a fad. Because as we look at this environment of robotics and of AI, and in particular in the world of AI, which has a very low barrier to entry, meaning that every single one of you on this session today should, if you don't already, have a membership to ChatGPT, for example, or Cloud AI, a tool that you're actually able to utilize and to interact with to help you be more effective. So how do we ensure that these technologies actually are sustainable themselves? And when we blend them into our workplaces, that we're taking the actions necessary to help all of our team members be more effective in utilizing these particular tools. So let's dive a little bit into what some of those challenges are that many organizations face in this space. Many organizations, many companies, they grapple with how to implement AI and robotics into their organizations and into the workplace in a way that aligns with their environmental and their ethical commitments. Now, part of that may come from a simple need to dig deeper into understanding what the technology is and crossing over that particular threshold of learning and understanding in order to make an assessment of how best to integrate the tools in. And the truth is that with many of these technologies, sometimes it's a discovery process and it's a bit of a trial and error experience, if you will, if I use that terminology. It's a bit of, let me test this tool and see how it reacts and how I might be able to utilize it. For myself, I can tell you that over the course of the last 3 months, maybe 4 months, I've been on quite a journey of exploring ChatGPT and how to utilize ChatGPT as a tool that is complementary for the work that I do, and how I can utilize it in my communications, even for areas outside of my work. And that is a learning process. And so one of the skills that's very important for companies as they're grappling with how to implement these technologies and how to leverage these technologies in a way that aligns, one of the critical skills is to have a learning mindset, to have an orientation of curiosity and an orientation of discovery, and then to step in and to test it out, to give it a shot, to see how it responds inside of the context that you've set up for it, inside of the environment that you've set up for the technology. Now, there's also a tension that exists between rapid technology advancements and long-term sustainability goals. So again, those long-term sustainability goals, sometimes those take years to really manifest, to really determine how well we have done on those particular goals. That's from a business perspective. Now, introduce technologies and how fast things happen, how quickly technology can change. And you can imagine very easily that tension that can exist as technology is moving faster and faster, and it's inviting us to move faster and faster as well, and to make faster decisions, to make decisions, to test things, to put them in place, and to see then, and to be able to zoom, as I call it, to look at that short-term impact and the long-term impact then on our sustainability goals. So from that perspective, again, there's a natural tension that exists there. And you can start to once again get a sense of how important it is to enter into this environment with that open mindset, with that orientation toward what's possible. How can I utilize this? What are some of the ways that we might test out or implement these particular tools? And to really explore that. Again, it's an important critical skill for us to have in the workplace, that open mindset, that orientation toward how might I do this? How might I be able to leverage this? Now, a third challenge that often faces work environments in the business workplace are, check this out, according to the World Economic Forum, businesses often struggle between the balance between tech innovation and world environmental considerations. So tech innovation itself often can be at odds with environmental considerations. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's talk a little bit about something like Bitcoin. So Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, let's just talk about cryptocurrencies. So cryptocurrencies requires a tremendous amount of computing power, and it is an amazing technology environment There are some things that we won't get into in any of our discussions, though, that just, if you do a deep dive into the crypto world, it is absolutely incredible. The orientation that is there, the context that is there for cryptocurrencies. Part of the crypto environment includes mining for coin. And part of that mining for coin requires an incredible amount of computing power. It requires the hardware, it requires the electricity, it requires all the tools associated with it. The hardware is often so massive in the amount of computing power that's needed is that it often requires additional environmental considerations, cooling spaces, for example. So right there, we have a technology that is moving quickly, and it's a technology innovation that's happening that is contradictory to many of the conversations that take place around environmental considerations. The availability of sustainable power, for example. So it's fascinating as we look at some of these contradictions that might come up into play, or the juxtapositions that come into play, that really are those things that for us as humans, as we're exploring these things, are really powerful areas for us to make a determination of how do we navigate and how do we balance technologies and the rapidly changing technology environment with our long-term sustainability goals. Absolutely fascinating. So for those of you who have been in these conversations before, let's take a deep dive. You know, we always like to focus a bit on some of the, well, what do I do about it? Okay. So if you don't already have your pen and paper out, definitely get them out now. And let's take a look at a couple of areas here. We're going to do a deeper dive into 3 areas that are designed to help us solve in these particular conundrums, if we call them that. So first off, we're going to look at the sustainability benefits of AI and robotics. I want to talk a little bit about that, the actual benefits from a sustainability lens. Then we're going to dive into a piece that's near and dear to my heart as well in our conversation from an HR trendsetter's perspective. We're going to do a dive now into the HR implications of sustainable robotics. And then we're going to take a look at, from a business perspective, another area near and dear to my heart around the business implications of sustainable AI. So let's dive into these real quick. So first off, what are some of the benefits, the sustainability benefits of AI and robotics? As we've been talking about technology, and I think a lot of you have probably experienced this or observed this as well for yourself, robotics and AI can actually enhance energy efficiency. They can actually help us get work done faster and more effectively, reduce waste, and allow us to optimize all of the resources available to us. So IBM research, for example, showed that the potential energy savings of AI and robotics is up to 40% in certain sectors. Up to 40%. Now, this includes AI, as we think about it, deep learning, the ability to solve problems, compute to solve problems, as well as those components of robotics as well. That's quite profound. So there are actually energy efficiency and waste reduction opportunities that are here, benefits that are here, and the ability to optimize all of the resources that we have available to us. In fact, a great example is that when we take automated systems, we can actually use automated systems to facilitate smart inventory management, for example, to be able to minimize waste, and as a result, to be able to improve or accelerate production activities. There's so many powerful efficiencies that are here. Harvard Business Review flagged very recently that AI can aid in monitoring and managing a company's carbon footprint in real time. These are amazingly powerful benefits from a sustainability perspective. So as you're thinking about opportunities for your organization as well, for your workplace, for your environment, be thinking about those also. What are some of those benefits that we can take advantage of? Now, let's dive into the HR world, because HR implications in this space are truly amazing as well. So from an HR perspective, and you know that I get incredibly excited about this, when we put an emphasis on sustainability from an HR perspective, HR departments are actually now starting to focus on something that's called green hiring. Green hiring is an emerging topic that's coming out in the HR world. And what does that mean? Well, what it means in this particular case, that emphasis again on sustainability is utilizing technology, and mostly this lives in the deep learning and the AI space, utilizing technology in order to recruit talent that's committed to an environmental responsibility. Isn't that fascinating? So as we bring team members on board and we pay more and more attention to what are those fundamental components as to why we're bringing people onto the team, absolutely, we can leverage technology to identify talent that's aligned toward sustainability. In addition to that, green hiring is also an element that's being utilized to be able to hire in a manner that minimizes carbon footprint. So what does that mean? Often what that means is, depending on the organization's needs, it's actually about placing talent close to their clients so that there's a minimal impact from a carbon footprint perspective when clients are supported or need to be supported. So again, very, very creative approaches that are being taken in this space as well, leveraging technology and focused on sustainability. So sustaining tech practices, what we learn and what we now understand is that sustainable tech practices can actually improve employee morale and retention as well. And that came from a Deloitte study most recently that was done in recognizing that marrying the technology orientation with the same sustainability orientation has a profound positive impact on employee morale and on retention. However, we always have to remember that HR faces challenges in training current employees to adapt to these green tech environments or these green tech systems, if you will. So that is an important component whenever we're looking at these technologies, and in particular from a sustainability perspective now, bringing that layer into the conversation, training our current employees to adapt. And it can be as simple as inviting our employees to participate in these kinds of sessions so that they get exposure. And it really helps them understand that it's not that complex. It simply takes a bit of, what did we talk about before? Curiosity and open-mindedness. So now let's take a look at that third area. And that's around business implications of sustainability AI, sustainable AI. What does that mean? So from a business perspective, the implications of sustainable AI are fascinating. First off, we're starting to see that organizations who speak of sustainable AI practices, the way that they're leveraging technology, the way that they're leveraging AI, and in many cases, the way that they're leveraging robotics as well, actually significantly enhances their brand reputation and their consumer trust. You might recall from a prior session, we did a deep dive into this area, that a company's willingness to embrace enthusiastically the technologies, the AI, the generative technologies that help their functional areas, that help their communications, the willingness to embrace those technologies, their willingness to embrace the robotics, that those actually positively enhance the brand reputation and the consumer trust. We'll do a deep dive on that one a little bit later on as well in a month or two. I want to go further into that because there are some incredibly exciting things that are happening with technology on the front lines to actually interact directly with consumers, to interact directly with employees, to serve up important tier 1 information to those individuals, and it deepens the trust. It accelerates the discussion. It gets to answers quickly, and it actually builds brand reputation. So we're going to go deeper into that area again, like I said, in just a month or two. Now, some of the other things is that we would understand, of course, that implementing some of these tools actually does lead to long-term cost savings despite initial investment costs on the front end. Now, I think we've seen that time and time again when we introduce technologies, whether it's a software technology, an RPA, robotic process automation, whether it's an RPA technology, or it might be a hardware technology. When we introduce, there's often an initial upfront investment in costs, both from a time and a monetary perspective. And then what we discover is that the long-term cost savings, we start to recognize those through efficiencies and as a result of higher delivery output. So again, remember, philosophically, technology is here to help us all be successful and to be more and more impactful in the work that we're doing. So remember in our session, I believe it was last week, we might have done a little bit of a discussion or a deeper discussion around how technology actually, when applied, allows our work teams to focus on those more important or higher ordered or more fulfilling bits of work, because we're able to leverage technology to automate repetitive tasks. This is incredibly powerful on so many fronts, and you can go back and listen to last week's session to learn a little bit more about that. But this is a really important piece for the sustainability, again, the business sustainability of AI. Now, PwC recently put out a study as well, where they talked about businesses that integrate sustainable AI practices show that notable increase in the stakeholder trust and the consumer loyalty. So we talked just a moment ago about brand reputation and consumer trust. Importantly, sustainably, what does that lead to? It leads to loyalty. It leads to consumers becoming more and more loyal to the brand. It also leads to employees becoming more and more loyal to the team, to what that organization is all about. So these are some of those pieces, again, as a reminder, as we're looking at sustainability and technology. For us, businesses that prioritize the sustainable tech practices can expect to increase the trust from consumers, from stakeholders, from employees. That should absolutely be one of your KPIs, one of your measurements, because when you introduce these tech practices with the eye towards sustainability, you have that opportunity to build trust, increase the trust on multiple fronts across your organization, within your workplace, and within your environment with your customers. Now, also we know that the technology, importantly, the sustainable technology, can lead to those significant long-term cost shifts. Remember, it's about then utilizing all of the resources that are available to us to deliver even more. So you can start to see how appropriately applying these technologies can actually accelerate your team and your organization toward your mission, to move even faster toward that mission because of the efficiency improvements that you get. And then lastly, from an HR lens perspective, recognizing that sustainable practices translate into a motivated workforce, reduced turnover, and the attraction of top-tier, environmentally conscious talent. Those individuals that are aligned to what you're creating in your business and in your organization for your team and through your workplace. So I really appreciate being in this discussion with you, having the opportunity to share these perspectives with you as well. Some of the great comments that have been coming in as well. I truly appreciate the interaction. And I'm excited about our next conversation as we start diving even deeper into the real world applications within the HR space in particular, within the workplace space in particular, around some of the new technologies that are starting to emerge. So ask yourself, As you're continuing on throughout the week, ask yourself, where can I utilize this technology today? Again, if you're not using a tool like ChatGPT or Claude AI or a number of other ones that are starting to come available to us, go out and get yourself a membership. Try it. There are free versions that are out there, and I think you're going to have a fascinating experience. We'll do a hands-on little bit later on, maybe in about a month or maybe 3 weeks or so. We'll do a deep dive and we'll actually get in. We'll utilize some of these technologies so you can see it real time in action. But be curious. Be curious about what's possible and go out there and try it for yourself. We're going to continue to discuss case studies, share best practices. We'll brainstorm on integrating sustainable robotics and AI seamlessly into your organization and onto your team, and how you can leverage this, because the technology is coming faster and faster for us. We're in a rapidly evolving business landscape. And so for everybody that's here and is joining in these sessions, staying ahead means that we will stay green and we'll stay efficient. We want to keep going after this, the concept of sustainability in robotics and AI. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to learn more, please hop on at hrtrendsetter.com. I am excited about having you here in this discussion. Absolutely thrilled to be here. I'll be bringing some guests on again very shortly. As you know, we love creating the dialogue, and I'll have a couple of guest speakers. I will share that on LinkedIn. Looking forward to seeing you in a future session. We're on at the same time every week, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, everybody.